Hey guys, this is the Keenest Fox here, and this is my channel where I like to talk about anime, video games, and cartoons, or whatever to my heart's content. And today I'm going to be doing things a little differently. Today I'm on Facebook, and I wanted to at least share this story of where I got kicked off this where I got kicked out of this private group called Adults Who Love Steven Universe uh, over some controversy. Now, I don't want like anybody to go around harassing anybody on my behalf or whatever. And this is just a simple roast. I don't wish ill on nobody. I'm not like that. I want to just keep things, respectful, but then again, I'm doing a video on these clowns. But yeah, but I just wanted to share my piece on why I got kicked out of this group and for like just a stupid reason. Okay? So it's called Adults Who Love Steven Universe, and this is actually like I got kicked out of this group like 3 months ago, back on like December and stuff. So it all started with this like one post, and the post isn't the problem, but it's what I said and how everybody got so riled up. So I really appreciate Greg and how he's never taught Steven's toxic masculinity. Greg instead taught Steven to express himself and that people who love you will accept you for who you are. Now, I totally agree with those sentiments and stuff. It's pretty nice, you know what I mean? Greg University is like one of my favorite characters in the show. Steven Universe used to be like one of my favorite cartoons back in the day. Um, but it's just that, I've just been seeing more and more cartoons and stuff, and just, and Steam Universe it just ended last year, or was that the year before? Yeah, it was last year, yeah. So, yeah, so it's just, I'm just moving on, trying to see other things, that type of stuff. So, anyways, this is me right here. This is me. Um, so yeah, just so keep track because I'm on it. I got kicked out of this group on my original account, but I have a secondary account, so I got back into the group on this account. But don't worry, I'm going to leave this group as well on this account and stuff. But yeah, so this is me, and yeah, so I can't really see the comments on my old account because I'm banned from the group, and I'm pretty sure I'm blocked by like the moderator and so, or not the moderator, the admin and stuff because just reasons. So, anyways, here's what I have to say. Greg is a good dad, and there's no such thing as toxic masculinity despite popular belief. It's something people try to frown on to try and make certain guys who try to teach their kids to be strong and resilient. Now, this is unscripted, by the way. I got 30 freaking laugh reacts to this comment. People were either just, I don't know, pissed off at my comment, or they didn't take it seriously, or whatever. I can understand that I was probably gonna get a few people who was gonna disagree with me or whatever. Of course, I mean it's natural, but 30 people, Jesus Christ. So this whole conversation is just so one-sided. So, anyways, this person's like, sounds like toxic masculinity, but okay. Toxic masculinity doesn't teach anyone to be strong and resilient, so I think you don't know what it actually is, and I assure you it exists. So I'm like, okay, so what's so toxic about it? Or by your own definition, what is so toxic about masculinity, and what's the problem with it, if you're sure it exists? Just say you don't know and understand the definition and move on. Okay. Look, I mean, I was literally just asking what are everybody else's reasons since they apparently act like, oh, well, this is common knowledge. Like, no. And then this person's like, I'm not going to write you a whole essay, although she could have just kept it short and just briefly wrote me like maybe one or three, like 1 to 3 sentences at best. That's like a mini paragraph. But things like telling boys to man up, show no negative emotion except anger, teaching them they shouldn't cry, and the pain that should be expressed as anger. That men shouldn't share any type of real touch and intimacy unless it's sexual, all of which leads to mental health issues and high suicide rates of men, and promoting rape culture, etc., etc. So, okay, telling boys to man up. Okay, since when has that affected a person's mental health to man up? I mean, unless you're like the feminine type, or if you're the I don't know, or if you're trans and something like that, I guess. But to man up, I don't see what's the problem with it. And there are people like out there, like feminists, like I guess Kathy Aru, who like says some stupid stuff like mansplaining um or who talks about stuff like this, oh, toxic masculinity. it's the devil, or she has a like, or words with men in them. Just in general, it's just problematic. So yeah.
If you know the answer, what is toxic masculinity? How do you catch it? What's the cure?
Well, according to the professor's article, toxic masculinity is the man's fear that he's losing his power. And because minorities and women are taking higher positions and they have more power, that white men and men in general are afraid that they're going to lose their strength and their virility, and therefore they are causing the mass shootings and lashing out. Women are better, unfortunately. We are not the murderers of our society. We are not committing the crimes. We commit less than 20% of the crimes. So
That's
actually,
true.
men are not as good as women. We are actually better. We're safer.
But what about men who transition to it? So if a man says, if he's got the terrible case of toxic masculinity,
yes,
he's on his deathbed dying from toxic masculinity,
right,
and he says, bam, I'm a woman now. Does it cure him?
Well, I would hope so. He would be the better gender. So I would hope so.
Okay. Does any of this strike you as nuts, or are you actually...
Anyways, I'm going to keep going. So I was really looking forward to just having an interesting conversation. And when I meant by interesting conversation, I meant like the questions that I was asking, like what's so toxic about masculinity if everybody has a disagreement over it. Not a bunch of condescending and judgmental assholes. And there's no such thing as like there's nothing well, not no such thing. There's nothing wrong with manning up. Also, if you do believe in toxic masculinity, then that's cool. Like that's your opinion and stuff. I'm not gonna say yeah, you should believe otherwise. But like I said, I'm just saying that how one-sided this whole conversation is, where you got like everybody else like damn near like I don't know 10, 11, 15, 30 people that is just against me. Yeah, just against me, little me. So, anyways, I was saying how there's no such thing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with manning up and not being too sensitive, which isn't teaching your kids to be outright emotionless or be some kind of rapist. Now, I can understand that there are some parents and stuff who kind of like, I guess, instill this whole thing with children in a way, but I don't really think that should really be called toxic masculinity. I mean, if there's toxic femininity, toxic masculinity, there is definitely a toxic femininity, and that is definitely what's going on here. Ain't that something, right? Being a guy myself, I've been in leadership groups where they have teach others they should not only be strong but physically but also mentally. Nobody is teaching their kids to cry publicly but privately, since most men lead by example. And as you can tell by the like ratios and all that stuff, I'm pretty sure most people are just tuning me out because they think I'm just in the wrong, right? Or why I get comments lately, or why I'm getting these laugh reacts, okay? But anyways, and then this person's like, interesting conversation. You came out the gate with nonsense. Google remains free. Nonsense? All I did was claim toxic masculinity doesn't exist. I didn't know I hit a nerve with what I had to say. And yes, I researched the topic various times, and it still remains a baseless claim. But notice how nobody replying to me can tell from experience, since none of you are guys. And then this person, she gives me her whole story. I'm not gonna really read out the whole thing because that would take too long, but I'm gonna just break it down. So basically, she was telling me the story about how, and you're entitled to read them if you want. Anyways, but she was telling me a story about her parents and stuff, and her mom, her stepdad, and how her stepdad, how he was, I guess, a lazy piece of shit or something, and how her mom would just treat her differently compared to her brothers. In comparison, like, oh, if she likes anything that's, I guess, masculine or something, then her mom would just go off like a bomb on her. Like, for example, this one time where she bought a video game, her mom just screamed at her. And then, yeah, but then later on, like a week or so later, when her brother bought the same game, her mom didn't bat an eye, she didn't care. So, I'm not trying to downplay her story, and I'm not saying that misogyny isn't a thing. Because it is. I mean, like, it is. I'm not denying that. But I'm just saying toxic masculinity just isn't a thing. And that didn't fit between the lines of teaching boys to man up, or, oh, and then she was also saying that she was also, like, being the woman in the household or whatever, besides her mom. She had to do the house chores and stuff. I mean, I guess if you're the older sibling, of course you got to do more work around the house um, and stuff. But, again, I mean, everybody got to pitch it. It's kind of a team effort. So, anyways, and then this one girl, Kat, I didn't comment to have any sort of conversation, you made an inaccurate statement pertaining to the original post, and I informed you the inaccuracy. I'm not about to waste my time, which she already has. She was literally the second person, and the what you call it, in the reply section, who just stayed arguing with me, like stayed arguing with me at first, and then, yeah, like no. Anyways, and then let's see. The fact that you continue to argue is something isn't real because you haven't experienced it, even though people are telling you they witnessed and experienced it. Literally, one person gave me that one story, and it still didn't align with the whole toxic masculinity claim, or that notion that, oh well, it's a crime shame that boys are being taught, and this apparently has something to do with rape culture and suicide rates. Like, no. So, anyways, and this is what I have to say. So, and I remember too that. So you probably can't see this, since this is since this is like a couple months ago, but I was like, this conversation ended an hour ago, because after Kat left left at that, it ended like about an hour or two, and then this girl just shows up out of nowhere, out of the gate, and I'm like, that this conversation ended like an hour ago, and I was just gonna leave it alone, because like I don't see what's the point of just arguing with a bunch of people who aren't even gonna hear me out until you had to say something. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist because I haven't experienced it, but based off the fact that most people who claim it doesn't know how to define it, consider it to be black and white. For example, there are people who, like atheists like me, who deny others who say God came to them in a dream. See how baseless that sounds? Literally, one person gave me a story that didn't even fit between the lines of men teaching boys to be emotionless, and I'm not toxic. And then she's like, it's social media, she has the freedom of speech, yada, yada, yada. I don't care if that's not the point. The point is, the point is, like, I was literally just going to leave it alone, that she had a reaction. Although that probably wouldn't have mattered, because I'm pretty sure I would have gotten other comments and stuff like that too, regardless. So it is what it is. And then this one dude, and keep in mind, there are a majority like women on here, and I'm not saying that if you're a woman, you don't have you can't have an opinion on toxic masculinity, because I'm like, me and guys can have an opinion on like women rights or abortion. Me, it works both ways. But the thing is, why I noted why generally most of these people like are women is because they don't have any experience being a man and whatnot, or they act like they know how this whole stuff works, but they don't. But they don't. And then there's one dude who's like one of the few guys who comment on here is like, "Oh, amends. Why is this shitbag allowed in this group?" And I'm like, and I'm glad I actually went out on a joke too before this chick came out here and banned me. Didn't know they allow cucks in here too. I should have said beta males. Beta.
Oh no.
Beta male.
And then we got this Erica Diaz who ends up banning me and whatnot with the ban hammer. So yeah, and keep in mind, I was looking through her page, her Facebook page, and pretty much, I mean, all she does is like, I guess she's like moderator and admin on this group, and pretty much, this is her page right here. So she generally like just posts stuff from the group or whatever. So I suppose this whole account is centered around the group, pretty much. And basically, like I feel like yeah, she's like a snowflake or something like that. Because she literally like bans, like she ended up banning this one dude, saying that he was homophobic or whatever, when all he said was Steven Universe is ruined now because 80% of the people who watched it because they were gay and wanted everyone to accept that so bad that they took out their frustrations on the fan base. Don't see how that's homophobic. And then he continues off of not so homophobic, unrelated topic, and is like, people are full of shit. Also, watch the show in hopes that they would seem smarter for watching it, and when in reality, the show stopped being good after season 2. I mean, I disagree with that. I mean, I think the show was good up until like season 5, and Steven Universe Future, it was alright too, but it just felt like kind of like season 5 of Samurai Jack. Like Samurai Jack, like season 5. It was a nice ending, but I don't know, but it just, yeah, it just wasn't a whole lot of episodes. It feels like the pacing, like it feels like it was rushed. You know what I mean? Right. But it wasn't like there was any good thing about, like anything good about Samurai Jack season 5. Just like there wasn't, like, yeah, there were good things about Steven Universe Future. Or actually, they probably should have just ended at the movie, low key, and just left it like that, in my opinion. But yeah, but I still think the ending was all good. So I'm finding a group, and yeah, so this is basically that. So honestly, I don't really take this Erica Diaz seriously. Please don't send any harassment her way. And then this Crystal, okay. So I believe I can actually kind of respect her because she at least acknowledged that she hated how people like were like just jumping at my throat, being all like, well, you know. So I'm glad she was like the only person in this like low key in this comment section who actually at least noted that. So yeah, and I can respect her opinion and what she has to say here. Yeah. So, and I'm not saying you have to be a man in order to understand it, but it's more along those lines of, well, yeah. But it just all boils down to just experience, in my opinion. And then we get this blue hair weirdo, and yeah, and this following comments and stuff. He's like, "Thanks so much, random man. Your opinion is not noted." And then she's like, "Oh, not all men, but definitely this fucking guy." Wow, I didn't know I was so important that she had to make these on me. Or I don't know, maybe she probably already had this ready. I suppose, right? But yeah, toxic masculinity, huh? And then this person's like, "I know you're gone, but I love how what you call it wrote up in whole exactly what toxic masculinity is, and you chose to ignore it." No, I didn't choose to ignore it. I just gave my own take and just said, look, I just don't believe in toxic masculinity, and here's why. But yeah, and then we got this one other weirdo who's like telling me these things. Man up, have some balls. Don't be a pussy. Don't be a crybaby. Why are you crying? Man doesn't supposed to cry. Come on, her fucking grammar. I swear. Man doesn't supposed to cry? I'm like, come on, you know, man is supposed to be singular and men is supposed to be plural, right? And it's men aren't supposed to cry, not man doesn't. Men don't. No, jeez, I can't even say it anymore. Men doesn't supposed to cry. That doesn't make any sense. We're men. It's gross if you don't shave, but it's gross if women don't have to. Look, I mean, when you don't trim that bush, to me in general, it's disgusting all around. Even if you're a guy or if you're a woman, it's yeah, nobody really wants to. Oh, yeah, I mean, well, there's some people who probably want to have a little bush, or people, yeah. But I don't know what kind of insecurities she's getting that from. But yeah, we're men, we don't have to shave. Like, no, I mean, we got Manscaped. So, anyways, you deserve beating for being manly. Oh, for not being manly. My bad. Has she ever even talked to a guy you deserve beating for not being manly enough, or has she ever taken like an English class? But anyways, boys will be boys. You know, people try to make that argument as if that actually means something. Nobody cares. Boys will be boys and whatnot. Like if children, like if you have like a child, right, and the child acts up or whatever. Now I'm not saying that you should overlook it. Of course, I mean, of course you gotta discipline your kid or teach them right from wrong. But sometimes though, I mean, yeah, boys will be boys. Isn't there like a such thing as girl talk? I don't see why. Oh, that's talk. Why that isn't toxic femininity, and it's not. I'm like, and it's not. Just as much as boys will be boys isn't toxic masculinity. Like, oh my god. And it's just a rape joke. Why are you so serious? Okay, now I know some people do actually kind of say stuff like that. Now, I don't know how often though. I mean, I don't think, yeah, trust me, I don't think many people, yeah, I don't think she's really had a conversation with a guy and stuff, or we're men, we don't do house chores. Now, come on, who really, yeah, like this is really something that you'll find in your everyday life is we're men. It's not gross if we don't shave. You deserve a beating for being men, for not being manly enough. We're we're men. We don't do house chores. This is what you'll find in everyday life. Is that it? Okay, whatever. And then this person's like, "Oh, buddy, this isn't the place. You could oh, you could have just said Greg is a good dad and not typed anything after that. And your comment would have been so much more better. OP. Now, I mean, look, I'm actually kind of glad that I actually said that, because in that I got, well, shit, I'm actually not glad that I got kicked out of the group. But hey, if it came down to that, and that the moderator just banned me like that, I was like, shit, I would have just left on my own. Because I just have no more reason to really be in this group. Like, yeah, and I will be leaving this group. I can assure you that. I'll probably make a post or maybe talk to the moderator or something, be like, yo, why'd I got kicked out of this group though? Or something like that. But other than that, yeah, I'm leaving this group. Like, why even stay in some place where you're just not respected? You know what I mean? Or where you just don't get along with anybody. And then this person's like, don't forget the whole you got to do it yourself toxicity. It's weak to rely on others. That's the main one I have an issue with. Now, look, and this is kind of my mindset in a way where you got to be independent and you got to be self-sufficient because I try to focus on that. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to rely on others, and I know not everybody because is going to share my sentiment and whatnot or whatever. And I know I'm not saying I can't speak on behalf of all men, but I'm just saying from my experience or whatever, um, that the whole yeah, you do gotta yeah, I mean sometimes there comes a time where you gotta rely on people. I mean when you're born, of course you gotta rely on your parents or your caretakers and stuff, or your family, and then yeah, or sometimes there are friends you can rely on, etc. But sometimes you gotta learn how to do things on your own. Like when you take a test. I mean, of course you can have like a study partner or a tutor or something, but you can't have that person like taking the test for you. And that's something like my mom would always tell me that I gotta learn how to do things myself, especially like when I was doing homework and stuff. I had my mom always look over it when I was a kid, etc. But yeah, and what these people don't realize is that okay, natural selection. And I know this is probably a little cliche to talk about, but this is very common in like science and stuff. But like natural selection is basically the survival of the fittest, where the strong will survive and prosper and the weak will die. Now, I don't think the weak should just die, but I feel like we all have our inner strength in a way that we have things that make us strong. It's not just, oh, well, it's just strength that makes us, yeah. I mean, because you could be a boxer and just be, like live in a shitty apartment and have a shitty life, but you're still physically strong. But no, I mean, you can be, yeah, but I feel like just strength varies in a variety of things. You got to be a jack of all trades, in my opinion. But yeah, so that's how I think. So, anyways, I got kicked out of the group out of that one controversy and stuff. But it's all good. I don't even want to be in this group anymore, and I have no reason to be in the group, considering how I just, Steven Universe. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a good show, it's a good series. Definitely recommend you check it out. But it's just, yeah, there's no point of me just being in this group because it's just not, it's just not relevant anymore to me. But anyways, here's some of the posts that I will be posting in this group just to prove that this isn't just a three strike thing, that I'm not a terrible dude. Uh, I wouldn't post like that, but here's something I put like 2 years ago. Kids trying to watch Steam Universe on the TMNT comic, because I read Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I saw that they had a Steven Universe cameo in there. Uh, there's this one thing, and I actually remember this too. I showed this kid how to draw Bismuth since he's a fan of her and stuff. And back when I used to work at this little school, like about 2 years ago, there was this kid I knew, and he was a big fan of Bismuth. I'm not going to say the kid's name, but he was a big fan of Bismuth, and I actually helped him how to draw. And I was kind of like I was his art teacher. I'm not that old. I'm really young. And stuff. I'm like 20, like I'm 21. I'll be 22 really soon. But yeah. But yeah, I helped this kid draw Bismuth and stuff. Just said things like I saw this at Target. I never forgot this moment, although I thought Sadie was by. Yeah, just yeah, like see a post and I just comment. Sad at first that Marco and Star separated, just disappointed. Yeah, me talking about the finale of Star vs. the Force of Evil. I mean, it was Star vs. Force of Evil, also another good series, but I just didn't like how it ended as well. It just felt, just incomplete, or just could have ended better, like why they had to destroy all the magic. And then another thing, and this actually gained a lot of likes too. Uh, yeah, about me saying that Rebecca once said Rebecca Sugar, the producer, the executive producer of Steven Universe. She created the show along with the Crewniverse. Rebecca once said that she does want to do more with the series for future's sake, but she's taking a break to figure things out. So, as you can see, I'm not a terrible dude at all in this group. I'm not, yeah. But apparently, over this one controversy, I didn't fall in line, I get kicked out. So, like I said, if you feel like people treat you terribly, or they just don't like respect you, why even stick around, or or if you can't respect them, or even just leave. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave the group, send my final piece, and just call it quits. All right, well, I'm glad you guys stuck with me on this rant. It was really fun roasting these weirdos, but I gotta go. All right, everybody, have a good day.